So I want the data from this website. We can see there's about 7,500 items. So we're going to scrape this data. We're going to go page by page. I believe it's paginated, yep, like this. And then we're going to open up every single product link as well and pull the data out. There's a couple of interesting things from this site that I think might be useful to you. So follow along, code along with me, or just watch along and see what I'm doing. So the first thing that we want to do is I'm going to create a new project in my projects folder. Let's make this a little bit bigger, and we'll just call this one apt, and we're going to go into this folder. I'm going to do python 3-m venv and venv to create my virtual environment. Very important. I'm going to do ACT, which is a shortcut that I've done for activate, which is basically just source venv bin activate like this. I've written a command to shorten that command there, so nice and easy. And make this full screen, open this up, and we're going to create a main.py file. I'm going to start this in tmux as well, so I can have two terminals going at the same time, so we can run it in one and code in the other. I'm going to open it in Helix on my main file like so. And then we're going to start installing things that we're going to need. So I know right off the bat I'm going to need requests. In fact, no, we're going to use HTTPX for this one, and I'm going to need selectolax. I'm also going to install rich, which just allows me to print out to my terminal a little bit easier, and I missed a keyword there of install. So whilst that's going, let's have a look at the site again. So what I want to check out first is how the links look on the search page. So we're going to need a search page and we're going to need a product page. Let's open the product page. So I'm going to go to inspect to start with, and we're just going to hover over one of the products, and I think this should be fine. Yeah, there's a class of product link. You can just about see that there. Make this a little touch bigger, and that should work just fine for us. And it has the full link for the product, which is useful. Cool. So now that we know what we're going to do with that, we'll have a look at the actual product page. Now on this is a bit more interesting because we have these different colors and the sizes as well. Now trying to scrape this out of the HTML is going to be a bit of a pain, but fortunately on a lot of these sites, these e-commerce sites, they use a standardized schema. So what we can do is we can go to view page source, and in here, if we just search for the word schema, we'll see right away that we have this piece of information here, which is a good indication of what we're going to find. But there's going to be more. So I'm just going to keep going down, finding each one as we go. And we should end up any second. Here we are. So this now is a load of valid JSON data with all of the product information in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this out, and I'm going to go to JSON parser. Let's make this dark mode. There we go. I'm going to paste it in here, validate, and we can see down here it says JSON is valid, and that is good because that means we can just give this to JSON.loads in Python, and it's going to pass it all for us, and we're going to have all of this information. And what's interesting about this is you'll see that this is actually a list of dictionaries, what it would be in Python. It actually has one for each of the options of the color and the size. Now I've scraped these schemas quite a lot, and this is actually a little bit less common, but I wanted to show you it here. Quite often you just get the main product and the schema is attached to that, and the stock comes from somewhere else. But this one has it all like this. So we know that this is going to be a very straightforward way to scrape this data, because we can just go and find this tag and pull the text out of it. So let's start writing some code. So we're going to do import HTTPX. Is that big enough? Let's make it a little bit bigger. From selectolax.parser, I'm going to import in the HTML parser. We will need that. We're going to need JSON because we just looked at a load of JSON data. And I'm going to do from rich, we're going to import in print. There might be another couple of libraries that we want to use as we get going, but we're going to start with this. So the first thing that I like to do is create a function that's going to get the data from the page and return out the HTML parser HTML. So we're going to say, we'll call this one HTML get, and this is going to take in a client, and this is going to be an HTTPX client, which we will create. And it's also going to take in a URL like so. So now we want to say our response is going to be equal to client get, and we'll give it the URL, and the headers will come attached to the client and the proxies that we're going to use as well. So we are going to be scraping somewhere around 7,500 items. So we are going to need to use proxies for this. Now what we want to do is we want to say that our HTML is going to be equal to the HTML parser for a response.text like so. And then we can just return this HTML out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in raise for status here too, just so you know if there is a problem with the status code, it's just going to give us that error, just so we'll have to handle it. This is not handling too much in the way of like network errors and stuff, but we should be okay. If we find some, we might be able to put something else back in that we need to. So the next thing we want to do is we want to parse the links from the search page. So we're going to call this parse search page. This is going to take in HTML, which is a type of HTML parser. And now we can start to work at getting those links out. So I'm going to say that our product links is going to be equal to a blank list. I'm going to do for link in html.css, and we want to find these A tags. I think they were product-link. I can't quite remember. Yeah, a product link, and they're inside. They always come after an li tag, so we'll put that in as well. So we'll do li a dot product link like so, and we'll do product links dot append, and it'll be link dot attributes, and we want the href attribute from that. So let's go ahead and return these product links here. Cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to test this out. So we'll have our main here. We'll fill that in just a second, and we'll do our if name under main. We'll run our main function. I always do this to run my Python scripts. So we'll say that we want to have a client which is going to be equal to our httpx dot client. I don't know if we can put headers in here. That's a lovely looking error. What we're going to do then is we're going to do it this way, and we'll do client dot headers dot update, and we'll put in our user agent here, which we will need. So I'll come over here and I'll just type in my user agent, and we'll just pull this, which comes out of search there. Cool. So this means that our user agent is going to be attached to every request that we make with this client, which is exactly what we want. You can put any other headers in here that you may need too, but we just need this one. So I'm going to do our HTML is going to be equal to our HTML get function using our client that we just created and the URL which we are going to give it, which is going to go here. So we want the first URL. In fact, we just need to make sure we pick up the page number as well. There we go. So I'm going to put that in there, and we'll make this 1. That should work for us. And now we can do links are equal. Let's call this product links actually. Product page, no, just product links is fine. And we'll have a parse search page on this HTML. And we're just going to print our product links and then print the length of the product links list. Cool. So let's come back over here. Let's clear this out, and I'm going to do py run, py being a shortcut for Python 3, and we should hopefully get some product links back. We get 72. And I believe there's probably 72 on this page. I guess that probably looks about right. Cool. So now that we have these, we can go ahead and create a new function that's going to parse out the data from the product detail page. So we'll do parse detail page. And again, this is going to take in HTML, which is a type of the HTML parser. And let's put this in the middle of the screen. So we'll say that we want to pull out this script tag here. So we'll call this element, element list. That'll do html.css. So we find all of them. And if we come back to it here, where has it gone? Is it in this one? Scroll up. Next one down here. This load of data. So you can see that it is this type of application / LD plus JSON. It should almost always be those. It will almost always be those. I've lost it now. This one will do. I know this is not the right tag, but I'll talk about this is not the right piece of data. We'll talk about that in just a second. So it's going to be script, and the type is going to be equal to this here. Now it's important that you put these small quotation marks inside and then the double quotes outside, so it can understand this string properly, because obviously it's got the slash in it there. So this is our element list. So I'm going to do for data in our element list. This is just going to be these tags. We'll say if skew in JSON.loads. Remember I said this was valid JSON, so we can just dump this right in and we can give it data.text. So this is going to be for every one of these. So it is going to find this one and it's going to pass this out, but this one doesn't have the word skew in it, so it's going to ignore it. We can return the JSON.loads data.text like so. Oh, typing is letting me down today. Let's start again. There we go. Cool. So that should give us the actual chunk of JSON data that we were looking here. It's going to give us that info. So let's go ahead and try that. So instead of printing out the product links, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, we'll do a quick test. So we'll say product HTML is going to be equal to the HTML get, give it the client that we're using, and we're going to give it the link of product links, but we're only going to give it the first one just so we can see that it's working. And then we'll do print parse detail page of the product HTML. Wow, product. It's testing me today. Sweet. Right, let's try that, see what we get. Cool, so there is a massive chunk of the data that we were after. Let's scroll up and we should have t-shirt. Okay, so this is not the right information. So you'll see that we have actually found another schema in the same tag that has the skew in it, but only has the reviews. Now, if you wanted the reviews, this is the one that you want to pull, but we don't want those reviews. We want something else. We don't need that for a start. We want the actual product information. So let's go back to this and have another look. Let's see if we can use identifier instead. So let's go back to our parse detail page, GD to go to definition, and let's take skew out and put in identifier and run again. None. Okay, so that isn't working, and I'll tell you why that isn't working is because we are within our list and we need to search within this. So even if we were using skew, this wouldn't work. So we need to figure out a way of working that out before we can go any further. So what we need to do is convert this into Python dictionary first before we can search through it. So that's going to be something like, let's change this to element, and then we can say our data within this element is element dot, we want to do JSON.loads element dot text like this. So now we have the text. We can actually say, I wonder if this might work. Let's try this. Get rid of you. Too far. So now we can search within the text. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so we still need to do, what we're going to do is, because this is going to be a list, we want to yield out of here. So we'll do yield item. If I move down here now, what we can do is for item in parse detail page for the product HTML, we can print our item. That should give us the colors as well. Yeah, so I can see yellow here as well. So I'm just make this smaller so we can kind of see it all. But here we have the icon responsibility T, or whatever it's called. We can see that we have different sizes, yellow, black Excel, but so you can see we're getting them all in. So this is going to work for us, I think. But what we do have is we have all of this indented JSON data, which, you know, is fine, but we want it flat ideally. And one of the easiest ways that I found to do that is just to install this little Python package called flatten JSON, which is going to handle all of that for us. Now, you could, of course, code this out yourself, but, you know, I'm not going to. I'm just going to use this. So we do from flatten JSON, we import in flatten. If we come to the bottom again, and instead of printing, we'll do flatten. I think this needs to be, make sure it's a dictionary. I'm not sure. We'll just do that anyway. And we'll do that. And one more of those. And now, let's clear this up and run again. We're going to get this all flattened out. So you can see what it does is it just combines it all together. But this is going to give us one long list or one long dictionary worth of all of the keys and everything flattened together. So it's just going to make our lives a bit easier when it comes to working with this data. So you can see we've got it all flat. So it just goes offers like this, and then so forth and so on. So that's good. Right, so what we want to do now is that we know that that works, is we want to create a loop for all of this. So I'm going to do for link in product links, and we're going to indent all of this, and this will need to be not the first one, it will need to be link, like so. So we're going to say for each one of them, we're going to get the data, and then we're going to loop through and we're going to print out the flattened dictionary for each one. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say our results is going to be equal to a blank list, and I'm going to append results dot append that dictionary instead. And then at the very end, we'll do print. I'll print the whole thing. And then at the end, we'll do print the length of the list as well. Results like so. So far, we're going to be doing just the first page because we haven't put in any pagination yet. So this is going to be 72 pages, 72 products instead. I am going to go ahead and put in my proxy here because otherwise, we don't. We could have a bit of a bad time. We might end up getting our IP banned. So I just need to copy this from over here. And now we're going to be using our proxy with every one of our requests along with the headers. So this should be much better for us. I'm going to clear this up, and I'm going to let this run through all of the products. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back here, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to do enumerate. So we do enumerate product links, and I'll do start equals to 1, and then link and index. And for each one, we'll do print index out of length of product links. So this is just going to tell us what number we're doing. Cool, so let's clear that. Let's run. So we can see it's going through each one synchronously. Obviously, we're not going to be putting async into this, so this will be not that fast, especially when it comes to wanting to do all 7,000. I think it's probably going to take a couple of hours to run that. But we'll talk about that towards the end, and then in an upcoming video I'm going to show you how I would improve that. So if you want to know how I'm going to improve this scraper and how I'm going to make it better, you want to subscribe and follow me for that, and that'll be coming shortly. So we're just going to let this finish, and I'll show you what at the end that we got all the data that we're after, well hopefully anyway, and we should have all of the products scraped. Cool. So that did work. Everything flashed by, and we ended up with 981 products, bearing in mind that's including all of the variations across them. So if a t-shirt had 3 colors and 5 sizes, that's 15 products. So we have all of that data there now. So that's good. I'm pleased that that worked out. Now what we want to do is we want to include the pagination. Now that's going to be fairly simple, I think, because we're just going to use a range to go through all of the product pages. So we're basically going to put the whole of this thing into a loop again. But what I want to do is I want to, instead of hard coding how many pages there are, I want to create a function that's going to tell me, and then we can then use that to actually make the request, know how many pages that we need to do. So I'm going to call this one parse pagination. Again, this is going to take in a client because, actually no, it doesn't need to. We just need to take in the HTML parser. So let's have a look at the page, scroll to the bottom, and we have this maximum number here. Depending on what site you're doing, there's a few ways you can go about this. You could use the next button to find the next page and just go through it like that. Or you can do it this way if you want to, or you could just say only give me 100 pages or however many that you want to do, and then break if if the page has the same items again or if something else happens like that. But we're going to do it this way. So we have this tag here. So we want to get this one. So what we're going to do, okay, so I'm going to go for this div class, which has got this pagination here with this data concept, and then we'll get the last link from that. Okay, so we'll call this one page block is going to be equal to html.css, and it was a div with this data dash code. What was it? Code sept. That's a weird one. Which is equal to pagination. So that's going to give us that, and then we can say our total pages is going to be equal to play. Oh, let me just do that. Total pages is going to be equal to our page block. And we want the first one, because this is going to be a list. I could have made this CSS first, I suppose, but we'll just do that. .css a, and we want the last one, which is going to be back to the end of the list. So this is going to return a list of those A tags. So we want to go to the back of that, and then we want the .text from that, and then we're going to return total pages. Cool. So this is just going to give us all of those A tags, and we're going to go through them, and we'll say, hey, this is a list of the A tags, and we want to go to the back of the list, so -1 in Python. That gets us to the end. Right, so from here, what we want to do is I'm going to change the URL. Actually, no, what we're going to do, okay, so we're going to have this one, and we're going to go to this page first. So we'll have our total pages. It's going to be equal to our HTML no, we want to do get HTML, because what we're doing, HTML get. Let's call this isn't total pages, let's just call this HTML for the moment. Give it the client and the URL. And then from here we'll do our total pages. It's going to be equal to parse pagination on the HTML. We could have put this inside that function, to be fair, but we already had this HTML get function, so we might as well use it. And now we can say for page in range 1 up until we'll make sure this becomes an integer of total pages. We can now indent all of this, and this needs to come out of here, so we want this to be a main thing, so we get rid of that. And we want to say URL, we're going to make this, we'll just copy the URL, I think that's probably fine. Let's grab the whole of this thing, put you here, and put it here, and make this an F string, tidy that up, cool. So we're basically just going to get every single one to however many total pages there are, and we might need to do, does it go up to this? I can't remember. I think we need to do this because we need to go, instead of going up to 104, we want to go up to 105, so we get 104 as well, and that should give us all of this information here. So the last thing we want to do is save this information, because there's no use just printing it out to our terminal. So I'm going to do save to JSON, and I'm going to give it the results list, and this is going to be with open, and I'm just going to call this results. If you run this more often, you'll want to make some kind of variable to give it this name, and we want to write to this file as f. Then we can do JSON.dump, and we want to do our results into f. I think that's right. So what I'm going to do for the moment is, instead of having the total pages to be all of them, I'm going to make this total pages of 2. I'm going to run it, so we should just get 2 pages. I'm going to check that this all works. I'm not going to print the results, but I am going to save them to file, like so. Okay, so I'm going to run this again, and I'll be back when it's finished, and I'll show you where it ended up. Okay, it's finished. We did indeed get 2 pages there. So let's just open up the results.json file. It's quite a large one. Let's format it. And there we go. So we have the different items. We can see, you'll see this is birch white, extra, extra small, and all of this information is available here, and nice and neat. So we can easily, do anything that we wanted to do with this, pull out just specific bits or analyze it, or however you wanted to handle it. So that is basically our total. Our total code is written here, and we have some simple functions to basically work with the pagination, pass out the data, and then go through each and every single page. We just need to comment this one out to do every page. Given the fact that that one, it's going to take maybe 1 or so second per page, so 7,500 seconds, I think that's something like 2 and a bit hours. So we would really want to speed this up. However, if you don't want the extra complexity, you just want to run this, and you're going to run it at night, 2 hours is not really a big issue. There's a couple of things that I would change, that if I was going to run this consistently, is I would add in logging, and I would add in some better error handling. If you want to see me do that, leave me a comment down below, and I can do a follow-up video to that, and maybe we could stick this on a server and run it run it for a week or so and see what we get out. So that's going to do it for this video. Like and subscribe always helps me. I'm going to be doing an improved version of this. It's going to be much, much quicker. So subscribe if you want to see that.